Now that you know a little bit about circumference of circles, we're going to really focus in on this area piece of circles. So I'm going to open up to the circumference versus area part of our foldable here. And it says, what is circumference? Circumference is the distance around the outer edge of the circle. And we find it by doing pi times d or 2 pi r. Area is the amount of space that the circle takes up, or the inside part of the circle, and we find that by pi r squared. So you can see that the circumference formula and the area formula can look really similar when we use radius. We've got 2 pi r and pi r squared. And again, those look really, really similar, so we have to be careful that we memorize and know them appropriately. So area of a circle will be on your I-STEP reference sheet if you need it. And the area formula is pi r squared. It's really important that we always write the formula and then plug in, because if we don't plug in, sometimes we make silly mistakes. So we're going to talk through order of operations. And if you remember order of operations, we had a silly saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And notice that exponents come before multiplication. And so you can see in this area formula, we have exponents and multiplication. We have to do the exponents first. Exponents comes before multiplying, and so it's super duper important that we do exponent first. So exponent comes first, which means we have to do r squared before we multiply by pi. So then multiply by pi. So common mistakes that are made is that you multiply pi times r and then you square it. Make sure that if you have pi times 5 squared, you do 5 squared first and get 25, and then multiply that by pi to get 78 and 5/10 units squared. And then here you can see another common mistake is that people want to do r pi squared and make it look really similar to the circumference formula, but it's really, really important that we don't do pi squared, we do the radius squared times pi as it's shown in the formula here. So at the top of our foldable, on the next page, we've got a couple find the area problems. So find the area of the circle, exact and estimated. What information do we know? Well, from the center to the outer edge is our radius, so we know that our radius is 12 inches. And we have to decide what formula we're going to use. In this case, it's asking for area. There's only one area formula, which is pi r squared. So area equals pi r squared. And then we can just plug in our values. So pi times r, which is 12 squared. In this case, we do the exponent first. 12 squared is 144 times pi. This is our exact answer. The exact area of this circle is 144 pi inches squared. Area, squarea, we always square our units when we're talking about area because we're talking about square units or how much area it takes up. Now, if we wanted to find the estimated answer, we would do 144 times pi in our calculator, or 144 times 3.14. I have the pi button on my calculator, so I'm going to use the pi button. When I hit enter, I get 452.3893421 to the nearest tenth. The 3 looks at the 8 tells my 3 to round up, and I get 452 and 4/10 inches squared. Now this is my estimated answer, or my rounded answer, because it's not the exact answer. Pi is such an irrational number that if we want the exact answer, we need to leave it in what we call terms of pi. Otherwise, we have to round it. Now, if you don't have the pi button on your calculator, you did 144 times 3.14. On this example, you would have got 452 and 16/10. Rounded, that would have been 452 and 2/10 inches squared. So just know that I would take either of these answers as long as you show your work on a test or quiz. Make sure that you tell me, are you multiplying by 3.14 or are you multiplying by pi to get that estimated or rounded answer. The next one says, find the area of this circle, exact and estimated, and asks us what we know. In this case, we know that the diameter is 16 centimeters. The diameter is the length all the way across from one side to the other, and it goes through the center of the circle. The extra step is we have to figure out what r is. R is 16 divided by 2. So we have to recognize that our radius is 8 and 8. Because the area formula is only using radius. There's not another one for diameter. The area formula is pi r squared. There's nothing that we can do with d. So we've got to figure out what r is first. Then we can plug and chug. Area equals pi times 8 squared. 8 squared, we do exponents first. We get 64 times pi. This is my exact answer in terms of pi, 64 pi centimeters squared. Again, when we're talking about area, our label's always squared. I can use my calculator to plug in 64 times pi. And when I do that, I get 201.0619298. In my tens place, 0 looks at my 6. The 6 tells it to round up, and so this is about 201 1/10 centimeters squared. Now again, if you were to use 3.14, 64 times 3 14/100, and you rounded pi because you didn't have a pi button on your calculator, in this case you would get 296 The 9 is in my tens place and looks at the 6. The 6 tells my 9 to round up, which actually makes this the estimated answer to the nearest tenth, 201 0/10 centimeters squared. So again, it's just really important that you're showing your work and showing me what you're using your calculator to do so that I know which answer you should get when it's all rounded and done.